Something impossible is buried beneath our feet, stories etched into stone, artifacts shaped by hands we can't identify, and structures built with precision that defies every timeline we know. Across deserts, oceans, and forgotten ruins, archaeologists keep uncovering objects that shouldn't exist, yet undeniably do. These discoveries whisper of civilizations erased, technologies unrecorded, and moments in human history we still struggle to place. We'll step into that shadowed territory between fact and the unexplained, examining the most bizarre archaeological findings that continue to challenge the world's sharpest minds. So settle in, look closely, and let's begin unraveling the mysteries that refuse to stay buried. Under the soft light of dawn, the temple of the feathered serpent rises from the heart of Teotihuacan, like a riddle carved into stone. Its stepped facade, adorned with rows of sculpted serpent heads, seems to watch silently over the ancient city, its gaze unchanged for nearly 2 millennia. Here, at the edge of a once thriving metropolis, the past feels unusually close, as if the stones themselves are still waiting to be understood. Archaeologists know that the temple was built around the 3rd century CE, during a period of explosive growth in Teotihuacan. At its height, this was a city larger than Imperial Rome, a sprawling urban center whose influence stretched across Mesoamerica. The temple's imagery, the plumed serpents and fierce warlike figures, suggests religious significance tied to fertility, water, and rulership. Yet, for all we can identify, much remains elusive. The civilization that raised these monuments left no written language. We can read, no first-person explanations of their beliefs, and no definitive record of the temple's true purpose. Beneath the temple, the mysteries deepen. In the 1980s, and again in the early 2000s, excavations revealed mass graves containing hundreds of individuals, many bound, many sacrificed. Their placement was deliberate, aligned with cosmic symbolism and architectural geometry. Some scholars interpret these burials as offerings marking the construction of the temple, signs of a society undergoing dramatic religious or political transformation. Others see indicators of conflict, hierarchy, or the consolidation of power. But even among experts, the scale and precision of the sacrifices raise questions that have no clear resolution. And then there is the tunnel. In 2003, a previously unknown passageway was discovered beneath the temple, sealed for nearly 1,800 years. As researchers carefully entered the darkness, they found walls coated with a glittering powder of iron pyrite, designed to shimmer like stars in torchlight. The tunnel led to hidden chambers filled with spheres of clay coated in pyrite, pools of liquid mercury, and sculptures arranged as if part of a ritual landscape. These findings sparked intense debate. Some proposed the tunnel was a symbolic underworld, a place for ceremonies connected to death, rebirth, or royal initiation. Others suggested it might have been an astronomical chamber, its reflective surfaces used to mimic the night sky. The presence of mercury, rare, toxic, difficult to obtain, only expanded the puzzle. What purpose did it serve here, sealed away from the world? Mainstream scholarship tends to focus on the ritual context, offerings to deities, cosmological symbolism, and the city's complex political structure. But not all aspects fit neatly into established interpretations. How, for example, did Teotihuacan maintain the engineering precision visible in the temple's orientation, which aligns closely with celestial events? Why were certain materials, like the pyrite-coated spheres, chosen, despite their impracticality and rarity? And what explains the sudden decline of the city centuries later, when its monumental architecture still radiated immense power? Fringe theories, while not widely accepted, linger at the edges of the conversation. Some suggest that the temple's iconography hints at esoteric knowledge lost with the civilization itself. Others propose influences from distant cultures, pointing to similarities in serpent symbolism across the ancient world. A few consider whether the temple served functions beyond the ceremonial, perhaps as a repository of astronomical, mathematical, or even acoustic knowledge we have yet to fully decipher. These ideas remain speculative, yet they persist because the evidence, in places, feels incomplete. Standing before the temple of the feathered serpent today, one is struck not only by its grandeur, but by its silence. The carefully carved serpents, the buried chambers, the shimmering tunnel, each offers clues, yet none answers the deeper questions. What motivated its builders? What beliefs shaped this place? And what knowledge might still lie hidden beneath the layers of earth and stone, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge? For now, the temple remains a monument to both human ingenuity and the enduring mysteries of the ancient world. In the stillness of the Valley of the Kings, where cliffs of golden limestone loom over silent burial chambers, the Anubis shrine waits in near-total darkness. Discovered in 1922 during Howard Carter's excavation of Tutankhamun's tomb, the shrine appears almost otherworldly, a sleek black jackal poised atop a ceremonial chest, its body coated in resin that glimmers faintly in torchlight. Its ears stand alert, its eyes inlaid with precious stones that seem to follow the intruder's every movement. Even after more than 3,000 years, it feels as if the guardian of the dead is still very much awake. To the ancient Egyptians, Anubis was the protector of tombs, the guide through the thresholds between life and the afterlife. The shrine's placement in the entrance corridor suggests a powerful symbolic function, an eternal sentinel watching over a pharaoh's journey into eternity. Mainstream Egyptology views it as a ritual object used in funerary ceremonies, possibly connected to the opening of the mouth ritual or the purification rites performed before burial. Its craftsmanship, materials, and inscriptions fit within the traditions of the 18th dynasty. Yet, even within this well-understood cultural framework, the Anubis shrine contains puzzles that continue to challenge researchers. For one, its orientation. When Carter first entered the chamber, he noted that the jackal faced toward the sealed doorway leading deeper into the tomb, as though guarding something of particular importance. Was this positioning purely symbolic, or did it reflect a more complex ritual sequence we no longer fully grasp? Some scholars argue that its direction aligns with ancient funerary texts describing Anubis opening the way. Others see it as a practical marker, indicating the presence of further chambers or hidden compartments. Then there are the peculiarities found inside the shrine's chest. Among the linen-wrapped bundles and ornate ritual objects were items whose purpose is still uncertain, wooden figurines whose meaning is lost, enigmatic amulets rarely found in other burials, and miniature tools whose exact role remains debated. Why did Tutankhamun's burial include such unusual ritual equipment, and why was it stored beneath the gaze of the jackal god, rather than in the treasury or the burial chamber itself? More intrigue emerges when considering the shrine's construction. Some materials used, such as certain resins and pigments, were extremely rare, typically reserved for high-status magical objects. The level of precision in the carving, particularly in the jackal's lifelike posture, exceeds that of many other items in the tomb. Was this simply the result of master artisans at work? Or does it hint at a specific religious purpose? Perhaps even a forgotten ceremonial tradition practiced only for certain rulers. Beyond mainstream explanations lie the more speculative theories, carefully discussed but never confirmed. Some researchers have pointed to texts that describe statues coming alive during rituals, suggesting that the Anubis shrine may have been part of a ceremony meant to animate the protective deity symbolically, if not literally, in the minds of ancient priests. Others have noted the shrine's near-perfect proportions and symmetrical geometry, proposing connections to lost knowledge of sacred measurement or acoustics. And a few suggest the shrine served as more than a ritual object, perhaps as a container for secret documents, missing regalia, or artifacts removed long before Carter's arrival. These ideas remain unproven, yet they persist because the evidence around the shrine is incomplete. Several anomalies, minor gaps in the tomb's inventories, inconsistencies in early excavation notes, unexplained marks on nearby walls, invite speculation. Were sections of the tomb disturbed in antiquity? Could items once housed within the shrine have been relocated or removed? Or do these irregularities simply reflect the complexities of an archaeological site concealed for centuries? Standing before the Anubis shrine today, encased behind museum glass, one can still sense the weight of its mystery. The jackal's posture is calm yet vigilant, its expression unreadable. What did it once guard? What knowledge did it symbolize? And in the vast, unfinished story of ancient Egypt, what secrets might still lie buried beneath the sands, waiting for another beam of light to reveal them? For now, the shrine remains both guardian and enigma, its presence a quiet reminder that even the most carefully preserved histories hold questions we have yet to answer. Leaving the golden shadows of Tutankhamun's tomb behind, we turn now to a landscape shaped not by desert sands, but by rolling green fields, mist-laden hills, and the quiet persistence of time itself. Here, in the heart of Ireland, stands Newgrange, a passage tomb whose presence is as serene as it is mysterious, a monument older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, yet still whispering secrets that defy full comprehension. At first glance, Newgrange appears deceptively simple, a mound of earth and stone, circular in shape, more than 80 meters across and nearly 13 meters high, crowned with carefully placed white quartz stones that catch the light in unexpected ways. But as the morning sun rises, a rare and precise phenomenon transforms it. Once a year, on the winter solstice, a narrow shaft above the entrance illuminates the inner chamber, casting a beam of light across 19-meter-long passageways to touch the heart of the tomb. For a few fleeting minutes, the darkness recedes, revealing the space where Neolithic builders placed cremated remains centuries ago. Archaeologists date Newgrange to around 3,200 BCE, making it over 5,000 years old, centuries older than the Great Pyramid of Giza. The mound, with its intricate carvings of spirals, lozenges, and concentric patterns, represents a sophistication that is remarkable even by today's standards. The carvings themselves are more than decoration. They hint at symbolic systems, spiritual beliefs, and astronomical understanding. But the precise purpose of Newgrange remains elusive. Was it primarily a tomb, a ritual site, or a monument to celestial cycles? Or did it serve multiple functions simultaneously, understood in ways lost to time? Inside the chamber, the air is cool and still, filled with an almost tangible sense of reverence. Each stone is carefully placed, forming corbelled roofs that have survived millennia without collapsing. The alignment with the solstice sun is astonishingly accurate, an achievement that has inspired admiration, speculation, and countless theories. Some scholars emphasize the builder's astronomical knowledge, suggesting Newgrange functioned as a solar calendar or ceremonial observatory, marking seasonal transitions critical to Neolithic life. Others focus on the ritual dimension, proposing that the tomb was a site of rebirth and renewal, where the sun's light symbolically reanimated the dead in a cycle mirroring the seasons. Yet, there are aspects that resist full explanation. The precision of the solstice alignment raises questions about the techniques used to achieve it, long before advanced surveying tools existed. The extensive labor required to transport and arrange massive stones, some weighing several tons, demands an organized society with specialized skills, yet little is known about the people who built it. The carvings themselves, while clearly intentional, remain enigmatic. Do the spirals and lozenges represent cosmological maps, spiritual journeys, or purely aesthetic patterns? And why is this monument so singular in scale and design within the region? Fringe theories, careful in their presentation yet intriguing, have emerged over the years. Some propose that Newgrange's alignment could indicate lost knowledge of solar cycles or ancient engineering methods now forgotten. Others suggest it may have functioned as a site for altered states of consciousness, where the interplay of light, darkness, and acoustics induced trance-like experiences for ritual participants. A few even speculate on astronomical or geometric knowledge embedded in the carvings, hinting at understanding far beyond what is commonly attributed to Neolithic societies. Walking through the passage today, one cannot help but feel the same awe that must have filled the builders and early visitors. The tomb's combination of precision, artistry, and spiritual resonance invites contemplation of human ingenuity across millennia. What inspired these ancient people to construct a monument so perfectly attuned to the sun? How did they accomplish it with only primitive tools? And perhaps most profoundly, what knowledge or beliefs have been lost with the passage of time, leaving Newgrange as both a triumph of human skill and a question that remains unresolved? Here, in the quiet of Ireland's green hills, Newgrange stands as a testament to the ingenuity, vision, and mystery of our ancestors, a place where the past still touches the present in a single fleeting beam of light. From the towering monoliths of Elora, we now journey across the Atlantic to the remote plateaus of northeastern Brazil, where a vast slab of stone stretches over the horizon like a silent, sun-bleached canvas. This is Pedra do Ingá, a granite outcrop etched with hundreds of mysterious symbols, grooves, and carvings whose meaning continues to elude scholars, historians, and archaeologists alike. Unlike temples or tombs, Pedra do Ingá offers no chamber to explore, no burial to examine, only the etched patterns of an ancient hand, preserved against the erosion of time. At first glance, the carvings appear abstract, spirals, zigzags, lines, and geometric shapes interwoven across the stone's surface. Yet the more closely one studies them, the more they evoke something deliberate, a visual language whose syntax is lost to history. Local legend attributes the carvings to early indigenous peoples, who may have created them for ritualistic or astronomical purposes. Mainstream archaeology supports the idea that these petroglyphs date back at least 1,500 to 2,000 years, though some researchers suggest they could be significantly older. Their creators remain anonymous, leaving behind only this cryptic record etched in stone. Among the most compelling aspects of Pedra do Ingá is the apparent sophistication in its layout. Certain patterns seem to correspond with solar and lunar cycles, while others align with constellations or astronomical phenomena. Some spirals appear to trace mathematical ratios, hinting at knowledge of geometry and proportion. Were these carvings intended as an astronomical calendar, a map of the skies, or a guide for agricultural cycles? Or did they serve a symbolic or religious purpose, their meanings encoded in ways we cannot now decipher? The sheer scale of the carvings adds another layer of intrigue. Stretching over 250 meters, the engravings cover the slab with consistency and precision, despite the rough and uneven surface of the rock. How did the creators maintain such uniformity across this vast canvas? What tools allowed them to carve lines so deep, so deliberate, that they have survived centuries of wind, rain, and sun? Unlike the finely chiseled reliefs of Kailasa or the precise passageways of Newgrange, Pedra do Ingá presents a more enigmatic craftsmanship, one that is both sophisticated and raw, structured yet inscrutable. Fringe theories surrounding the site are as varied as they are captivating. Some speculate that the carvings encode advanced astronomical knowledge unknown to other contemporary civilizations, pointing to observations of planetary orbits or star systems. Others suggest the patterns might be a symbolic language representing cosmology, spiritual knowledge, or even an early attempt at recording mathematical or scientific concepts. A few more speculative ideas propose that the rock served as a communication device, a ritual altar, or a portal of knowledge whose significance has been lost entirely. While none of these theories can be verified, they underscore the profound sense of mystery that Pedra do Ingá inspires. Visiting the site today, one cannot help but be drawn into contemplation. The sunlight shifting across the carvings highlights the spirals and grooves, as if the stone itself were attempting to communicate, to reveal secrets gradually over centuries. The air is still, the landscape open, and the stone commands attention, not through size or monumentality, but through the quiet insistence of a riddle etched in granite. What drove these unknown artisans to leave such an enigmatic record? Was it purely ceremonial, functional, or a combination of both? And, most tantalizing of all, could Pedra do Ingá represent knowledge or insight that has vanished from human memory, a fragment of understanding lost to time? For now, the stone remains a testament to human creativity and curiosity, a silent archive of ideas that challenges us to look closer, to wonder, and to imagine what truths might still be waiting to be uncovered beneath its etched surface. Leaving behind the enigmatic petroglyphs of Pedra do Ingá, we now journey southward across the African continent to a land of rolling savannas, granite hills, and a history etched into stone on an almost unimaginable scale. Here stands Great Zimbabwe, the sprawling ruins of a once magnificent city, its towering walls and intricately constructed enclosures whispering tales of a civilization both advanced and elusive. Unlike the careful carvings or monolithic temples we've seen before, Great Zimbabwe offers a monumental landscape of stone, where architecture itself becomes a record of human ingenuity, and a puzzle that continues to challenge modern understanding. At first sight, the ruins are awe-inspiring. Massive walls of granite blocks rise without mortar, forming enclosures, passageways, and terraces that stretch across several square kilometers. The most iconic feature, the Great Enclosure, is a circular wall more than 11 meters high and over 250 meters in circumference, punctuated by finely constructed passageways that curve with deliberate intention. Scholars marvel at the precision and durability of the stonework. Each boulder fits seamlessly with its neighbors, creating structures that have withstood centuries of weather and neglect. There is a sense of order here, a deliberate orchestration of space, as if the builders were communicating ideas about power, ritual, or cosmology through the very arrangement of stone. Historical research places the rise of Great Zimbabwe between the 11th and 15th centuries CE. It became the center of a thriving kingdom, a hub for trade connecting the interior of Africa with the coasts of the Indian Ocean. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of gold trade, imported ceramics, and other artifacts that attest to extensive contact with distant lands. Yet, despite the scale and sophistication of the ruins, the story of those who built them is incomplete. The identity of the rulers, the precise functions of many enclosures, and the social or religious systems that shaped this urban landscape remain partly speculative. One of the most perplexing aspects of Great Zimbabwe is its sheer scale and engineering. How did the builders transport and fit massive granite blocks with such precision without mortar or modern tools? What knowledge of geometry or surveying might they have employed to achieve such symmetry and alignment across sprawling enclosures? And what determined the specific layout of walls, towers, and open spaces? A reflection of practical needs, ceremonial purposes, or something more symbolic? Mainstream archaeology credits careful planning, skilled labor, and a complex society, yet the execution still impresses and confounds. The mysteries extend beyond construction. Some researchers have proposed that the ruins encode astronomical knowledge or cosmological symbolism, with certain walls and enclosures aligned to celestial events. Others speculate that the Great Enclosure, with its corbelled towers and narrow passages, may have served a ritual or ceremonial function, emphasizing hierarchies of power or spiritual journeys. Fringe theories, meanwhile, have sometimes suggested connections to lost technologies, symbolic mathematics, or even influences from distant civilizations, a claim largely debated and often disputed, yet indicative of the human fascination with a site that defies easy categorization. Walking among the ruins today, one senses both grandeur and mystery. Each stone carries the weight of generations, yet communicates little directly. The city is alive in absence, resonating with the whispers of long-forgotten voices. Visitors are left to wonder not only about the lives of its inhabitants, but about the knowledge, beliefs, and ingenuity embedded in the very fabric of the stone walls. What drove the builders of Great Zimbabwe to create such monumental structures, and why did the city rise to prominence only to decline centuries later? Were the enclosures purely functional, or did they encode information, stories, or rituals we have yet to decode? And, as with so many of the world's enigmatic sites, what secrets remain buried beneath the layers of earth, waiting to reveal themselves to those patient enough to look closely? Here, in the vast expanse of southeastern Africa, Great Zimbabwe stands as a silent testament to human ambition, skill, and imagination, a city of stone whose mysteries continue to challenge and inspire us. Leaving the stone grandeur of Great Zimbabwe behind, we now cross continents once more, to the windswept coast of Brittany, France, where the landscape is punctuated by thousands of towering monoliths standing in silent formation across fields and moors. These are the Carnac Stones, an array of megaliths whose scale, precision, and enigmatic purpose have fascinated scholars, travelers, and local legend for centuries. Unlike enclosed temples or fortified cities, Carnac stretches openly across the land, its stones rising from the earth like a frozen army, each one holding the weight of human intention and mystery. Walking among the alignments, one is struck by the sheer number and arrangement of the stones. Over 3,000 menhirs, standing stones, are organized into rows that stretch for more than 4 kilometers. Some stones reach over 4 meters in height, while others are smaller yet carefully positioned. There are dolmens, burial chambers, and tumuli scattered nearby, hinting at a society deeply engaged with ritual, death, and perhaps the cosmos itself. The stones are worn by millennia of wind and weather, yet their presence remains imposing and deliberate, as though the landscape itself had been sculpted to convey meaning. Mainstream archaeology places the construction of Carnac in the Neolithic period, roughly between 4,500 and 3,300 BCE. Scholars suggest that the stones may have served ceremonial or religious purposes, acting as markers for ritual processions, territorial boundaries, or ancestral veneration. Excavations reveal that many alignments were accompanied by burial sites, hinting at a connection between the living and the dead, between the earthly and the spiritual. Yet, despite extensive study, no written records exist to confirm why these stones were arranged with such extraordinary precision. Perhaps the most perplexing element is the alignment itself. The rows of stones appear to follow strict patterns, some oriented to the rising sun, the solstices, or other celestial phenomena. Did the builders use these stones as a calendar, a way to track seasons critical to agriculture, or as observatories for astronomical events? Or were the arrangements symbolic, mapping spiritual or mythological concepts onto the landscape? The answers remain elusive. The method of construction also raises questions. Moving, shaping, and erecting such massive stones, some weighing several tons, would have required remarkable planning, coordination, and skill, especially given the Neolithic tools available. How did these ancient peoples achieve such feats without written instructions or metal implements? And what inspired them to invest such monumental effort into stones that would endure for millennia, yet communicate in a language now lost to us? Fringe theories abound, reflecting both the imagination and the uncertainty surrounding the site. Some propose that the Carnac Stones functioned as a form of prehistoric observatory, encoding sophisticated astronomical knowledge beyond what is conventionally attributed to Neolithic societies. Others suggest they were aligned with subterranean energy lines, serving a purpose lost to history, or even as markers of extraterrestrial visitation, a hypothesis unsupported by evidence, yet indicative of the profound sense of mystery the site inspires. Standing amidst the rows of Carnac today, one is struck by a feeling of continuity and absence at once. The stones do not speak in words, yet they communicate through their sheer presence, their deliberate placement, and the patience of their creators. Each alignment invites contemplation, challenging the observer to imagine the rituals, intentions, and beliefs of people whose voices have long faded. What compelled Neolithic communities to shape the land in this way? How much knowledge has been lost with the passage of millennia, leaving only these stone sentinels behind? And what truths, whether practical, spiritual, or symbolic, might still lie hidden in the patterns that stretch across Brittany's fields, waiting for a patient eye to decipher? Here, in the quiet between the stones, Carnac endures as both monument and mystery, a testament to human ingenuity, devotion, and the enduring enigma of our ancient past. Leaving the windswept fields of Carnac behind, we turn now to Eastern Europe, to the gentle banks of the Zbruch River in modern-day Ukraine, where a mysterious figure emerges from the mists of history, the Zbruch Idol. Carved from limestone, standing over 2 meters tall, this enigmatic statue is one of the few surviving remnants of pre-Christian Slavic spiritual life, a silent witness to beliefs, rituals, and cosmologies that have otherwise vanished. Its presence is at once striking and unsettling, a four-sided pillar depicting multiple faces and bodies stacked upon one another, each layer hinting at realms beyond our ordinary perception. The Zbruch Idol is divided into 3 distinct tiers, each representing what scholars believe to be the Slavic conception of the universe: the underworld, the earthly plane, and the heavens above. The lowest tier shows a figure often interpreted as Veles, god of the underworld and the dead. The middle section depicts human figures, possibly priests or mortals, engaged in gestures that remain open to interpretation. The uppermost tier presents a god with 4 faces, arms outstretched, overseeing the entire cosmos, a visual expression of divinity that is both complex and profoundly symbolic. Discovered accidentally in 1848, the idol immediately sparked curiosity and debate. Carbon dating and stylistic analysis suggest it was carved sometime between the 9th and 12th centuries, though some experts argue it could be older. Its survival is remarkable, considering centuries of river erosion, shifting political powers, and religious transformations in the region. Mainstream interpretations view the idol as a ritual object, a sacred representation of Slavic polytheism, used perhaps in ceremonies honoring life, death, and the cosmos. Yet many questions remain unanswered. One mystery lies in the identity of its creators. Who carved this idol, and for what specific purpose? Was it a central object in public worship, a marker of sacred ground, or a personal symbol of devotion? The sophistication of its design, each face and hand deliberately positioned, each tier clearly representing distinct realms, suggests a deep understanding of symbolism and theology. Yet, in the absence of written records, we can only speculate about the rituals and beliefs it embodied. Even more enigmatic is the question of its orientation and placement. Found partially submerged in the river, some scholars propose it may have originally stood elsewhere, relocated over time. Was its original position aligned with celestial events, rivers, or sacred landscapes? Did the river's proximity have spiritual significance, symbolizing the flow between worlds or serving as a conduit for ritual practices? These are questions that the idol's mute form does not answer, but hints at through its design and discovery. Fringe theories have emerged around the Zbruch Idol, though they remain speculative. Some researchers propose that the figure's four-faced upper deity hints at a sophisticated cosmology or philosophical system lost to time. Others suggest that the layered structure encodes knowledge of astronomy or seasonal cycles, a pre-Christian calendar hidden in stone. More imaginative ideas, often debated in popular literature, claim the idol may have served as a map to sacred sites, or contained hidden messages meant for initiates of a forgotten cult. While such ideas cannot be substantiated, they underscore the enduring fascination with an artifact that refuses to yield all its secrets. Standing before images of the Zbruch Idol today, one senses its quiet authority. There is a gravity in its stacked faces, an unspoken narrative of life, death, and the divine order. It invites reflection, urging us to imagine a world where gods walked close to humans, and where sacred symbols guided understanding of the universe. What stories did the Zbruch Idol witness along the banks of the river? What beliefs, rituals, and wisdom have been lost with the passage of centuries, leaving only this enigmatic figure behind? And perhaps most profoundly, what does its layered form tell us about humanity's eternal search to represent the mysteries of life, death, and the cosmos? In the silent stone of the Zbruch Idol, the past speaks in riddles, inviting us to look closer and wonder what truths remain hidden beneath its surface. Leaving the layered mysteries of the Zbruch Idol behind, we journey now to the sun-scorched deserts of the Middle East, where deep within rugged cliffs and narrow gorges lies a city carved entirely from living rock, Petra, the legendary Rose City of Jordan. Approaching through the Sick, a winding canyon whose high walls rise like cathedral pillars, visitors are gradually enveloped by shadows and silence. Then, without warning, the gorge opens to reveal the treasury, Al-Khazne, its ornate facade glowing in the morning light, as if the cliffs themselves had surrendered a secret kept for centuries. Petra's grandeur is impossible to ignore. Hundreds of tombs, temples, and monuments are sculpted directly into sandstone cliffs, their facades etched with Corinthian columns, intricate friezes, and grand staircases. The city sprawls across a landscape of valleys and plateaus, connected by carved channels, cisterns, and an advanced water management system that allowed life to flourish in an unforgiving desert. Petra was not only a marvel of architecture and engineering, it was a thriving center of commerce, linking trade routes across Arabia, Africa, and the Mediterranean. Historical records indicate that Petra flourished under the Nabateans, an Arab people who controlled the city between the 4th century BCE and the 1st century CE. Their skill in carving monumental structures, redirecting water, and creating functional urban spaces is well documented. Yet, as impressive as these achievements are, they raise questions about the full scope of Nabatean knowledge. How did they achieve such precision in carving massive sandstone cliffs, ensuring structural stability while creating facades of breathtaking detail? How did they plan and sustain a city that seems to emerge organically from the rugged terrain, as though the cliffs themselves were a canvas for human ingenuity? Even the water systems continue to inspire awe. Petra's cisterns, aqueducts, and channels allowed the Nabateans to collect and store rainwater, supporting a city in the desert and protecting it from seasonal floods. Modern engineers marvel at the sophistication of this system, suggesting a level of hydrological understanding that is remarkable even today. Yet, despite these practical solutions, certain features remain mysterious. Some rock-cut chambers and pathways appear symbolic, aligned with celestial events or designed for ceremonial use, hinting at purposes beyond the purely functional. Fringe theories abound, fueled by the city's hidden corners and dramatic facades. Some propose that Petra's carvings encode esoteric knowledge, or that its hidden caves were used for rituals lost to time. Others speculate that certain alignments point to astronomical phenomena or sacred geography, while a few even suggest that the city's strategic design reflects secrets of trade and defense we have yet to fully comprehend. None of these ideas can be proven, yet they persist, reflecting the human impulse to understand a place that defies ordinary explanation. Walking through Petra today, one is struck by the interplay of permanence and erosion, human craftsmanship and natural formation. The treasury, the monastery, and countless tombs whisper of a civilization capable of transforming cliffs into a living, breathing city. And yet, much remains hidden beneath the sands and shadows. What stories have been lost with the Nabateans? What purposes might the hidden chambers and lesser-known monuments have served? Petra endures as a city carved from stone, yet alive in imagination and inquiry. It invites us to consider not only the ingenuity of its builders, but the mysteries that remain encoded in its facades and passageways. How much of Petra's knowledge, artistry, and symbolism have been lost to time, leaving us only the echoes of a civilization that once commanded the desert with ingenuity, vision, and a touch of the extraordinary? In its silent cliffs, Petra continues to watch, waiting for those willing to look closer, to wonder, and perhaps to discover what has yet to be revealed. Leaving the colossal precision of the Olmec heads behind, we now travel southward into the highlands of Bolivia, to a plateau near the shores of Lake Titicaca, where an archaeological site challenges everything we think we know about ancient engineering, Pumapunku. The ruins are part of the greater Tiwanaku complex, yet they stand apart, remarkable for their size, scale, and the extraordinary precision of their construction. Here, massive stone blocks, some weighing over 130 tons, are arranged in ways that continue to baffle archaeologists, engineers, and scholars alike. Walking among these remnants, it is impossible not to feel both awe and a lingering sense of unease, as though the stones themselves are holding secrets they refuse to reveal. The first impression is one of sheer magnitude. The stones at Pumapunku are enormous, their edges cut with such precision that they fit together perfectly, without mortar, forming interlocking joints that have withstood centuries of earthquakes, erosion, and time. Many blocks are shaped into complex geometrical forms, trapezoids, rectangles, and H-shaped connectors that appear to have been designed for a level of modular assembly reminiscent of modern, prefabricated construction. Yet these structures were carved using tools and technology that should, by conventional standards, make such precision nearly impossible. How did the builders accomplish this feat? And why dedicate such extraordinary effort to a structure whose original function remains uncertain? Dating the site presents its own set of challenges. Radiocarbon analysis and archaeological study suggest that Pumapunku was constructed around 500 to 600 CE during the height of the Tiwanaku civilization. The city itself, situated at over 3,800 meters above sea level, was an impressive urban center, a hub of culture, religion, and trade. But the sophistication of the stonework at Pumapunku is difficult to reconcile with what is known about the tools available at the time. Many of the blocks display perfectly flat surfaces, right angles, and smooth finishes that some researchers argue would have required metal tools harder than those known to the Tiwanaku, or techniques that have been lost to history. The source of the stone adds another layer of mystery. Some of the massive andesite blocks were quarried nearly 10 kilometers away, yet they were transported across uneven terrain, up slopes, and into exact positions with no evidence of advanced machinery. How did the Tiwanaku manage to move and position these megaliths with such precision? Traditional explanations point to sheer manpower, rollers, ramps, and ingenuity, but the results, perfectly aligned stones with uniform cuts, raise questions about the limits of these methods. Equally perplexing is the precision of the joints themselves. Pumapunku's blocks feature notches, grooves, and interlocking shapes that allow for perfect fit without mortar. Some stones appear to have been cut with tolerances as small as a fraction of a millimeter. Modern engineers attempting to replicate these cuts with contemporary tools struggle to achieve similar results. Were these shapes purely functional, designed to withstand seismic activity, or did they hold symbolic or ceremonial significance as well? And what knowledge of geometry, mathematics, or material properties guided the builders in achieving such extraordinary accuracy? Mainstream archaeology suggests that Pumapunku was part of a broader ceremonial and administrative complex, serving as a platform for religious or civic functions. However, the lack of inscriptions or definitive records leaves room for speculation. Some researchers propose that the site functioned as a center of astronomical observation, aligning with solstices or celestial events. Others suggest that it may have been a symbolic representation of cosmological principles, a sacred space designed to reflect the harmony of the universe. Fringe theories, while speculative, continue to capture the imagination. Some posit that Pumapunku represents evidence of lost technology, an advanced understanding of engineering or stone-cutting techniques that disappeared with the civilization itself. Others suggest extraterrestrial influence or contact, noting the seemingly impossible precision of the stones and the modular design that mirrors modern construction. While these ideas are not supported by conventional evidence, their persistence highlights the extraordinary nature of the site, a place where human achievement appears to brush against the limits of what we believe ancient cultures could accomplish. Today, Pumapunku is a landscape of fragments, massive stones scattered across a plateau, some toppled, some partially buried, and many still standing as silent witnesses to a past that continues to defy full understanding. Walking among the ruins, one feels a sense of both wonder and frustration. Each block, each cut, and each alignment speaks to ingenuity, planning, and purpose, yet the original intentions remain elusive. Was Pumapunku a ceremonial platform, an astronomical observatory, a hub of power, or something entirely unknown? The site's enduring mystery is magnified by what may never be recovered: the tools, blueprints, or written records that could explain how these stones were quarried, transported, and assembled. Without these artifacts, we are left with stone, geometry, and scale, clues to a story only partially visible, a puzzle whose pieces have been scattered by time. And so Pumapunku continues to challenge our understanding, standing as a testament to human ambition, skill, and the unresolved enigmas of our past. How did a civilization achieve such precise construction with seemingly primitive tools? What purpose did the stones serve beyond their monumental presence? And what knowledge, lost, hidden, or deliberately encoded, might still lie waiting beneath the shattered blocks, silently inviting the curious to explore, measure, and wonder? In the quiet of the Bolivian plateau, Pumapunku endures as a monument to the extraordinary, a riddle etched in stone, and a reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved. Leaving the enigmatic stones of Pumapunku behind, we now turn our gaze northward, across vast deserts and canyons, to the American Southwest, a land where red rock cliffs and mesas conceal the remnants of an extraordinary civilization, the Anasazi, also known as the ancient Puebloans. Between roughly 900 and 1300 CE, They built sprawling communities, cliff dwellings, and ceremonial kivas across the Four Corners region, creating a society renowned for its architectural ingenuity, artistry, and astronomical knowledge. Yet, by the late 13th century, these vibrant settlements were abandoned, leaving behind a mystery that continues to intrigue archaeologists, historians, and curious minds alike. The first encounter with Anasazi ruins is striking. From cliffside dwellings like those at Mesa Verde to the expansive pueblos of Chaco Canyon, the architecture is both functional and symbolic. Massive stone walls rise in orderly patterns, interconnected by ladders and stairways. Kivas, circular ceremonial chambers, dot the landscape, their subterranean design suggesting sacred practices and communal gatherings. Petroglyphs and intricate pottery speak to a culture steeped in symbolism, artistry, and observation of the natural world. Yet, despite these achievements, the question lingers: why did such a flourishing civilization vanish so abruptly? Archaeological evidence offers clues but no definitive answers. Dendrochronology, the study of tree rings, indicates a period of severe drought in the late 13th century, which may have disrupted agriculture and water supplies. Some researchers suggest that resource scarcity forced migration, while others point to increasing social tensions, raids, or internal conflict as contributing factors. Yet these explanations, though plausible, do not capture the full picture. The Anasazi did not simply fade. They left behind complex, meticulously maintained settlements, ceremonial centers, and an extensive network of trade routes, all abandoned in a manner that suggests careful planning rather than chaotic flight. The mystery deepens when we consider the precision and scale of Anasazi engineering. Roads linking Chaco Canyon to distant outposts stretch for hundreds of kilometers, aligned with solar and lunar cycles, and often terminating in massive ceremonial structures. How did a society without modern tools achieve such architectural and astronomical precision? And when they departed, why leave behind so much infrastructure, knowing that the settlements could support future generations? Speculative theories abound, attempting to fill the gaps left by history. Some propose that spiritual or religious motivations guided the migration, suggesting that the Anasazi may have relocated to fulfill cosmological prophecies or ritual imperatives. Others explore the possibility of environmental catastrophes beyond drought, flash floods, soil depletion, or climatic shifts that forced a slow exodus over generations. Fringe ideas, while controversial, even suggest contact with unknown civilizations or influences, inspired by the astronomical alignments and engineering sophistication observed in certain Chacuan structures. Walking through the ruins today, one feels the lingering presence of a society both advanced and enigmatic. Every stone wall, carved glyph, and ceremonial chamber evokes the lives of people who observed the sun, tracked the stars, and shaped a landscape to reflect both practical and spiritual needs. And yet, the silence left by their disappearance is profound, a haunting absence that invites questions as urgent today as they were centuries ago. Why did the Anasazi leave such enduring monuments only to vanish from their ancestral lands? Was their departure dictated solely by environmental pressures, or were there social, spiritual, or unknown factors at play? And, perhaps most compelling, what knowledge, traditions, and stories were carried away, leaving behind only the stone evidence of a civilization that continues to challenge our understanding? In the canyons and mesas of the Southwest, the legacy of the Anasazi endures, a civilization frozen in stone, whose sudden disappearance remains one of the most compelling archaeological mysteries of the Americas, inviting us to wonder what truths lie hidden in the red cliffs and abandoned dwellings, waiting for the careful observer to uncover.